CP3 has officially been waived by the Phoenix Suns. If he does not return, should the Sixers be interested in his services? We will break all of it down here on Philly Take with RB.
Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome into the show. Like always, hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Be sure to subscribe and also ring that bell down below. Very important. That way you don't miss any of the coverage. We continue to break it all down. And today we are back with some news. CP3 waived by the Phoenix Suns. Would you be interested in his services this upcoming year on the Philadelphia 76ers? I'm going to tell you the good and the bad about it and what I would do in this situation. But before we jump right into it, shout out to our partner of today's video, Mint Mobile. Shout out to the partner of today's video, Mint Mobile. If you out there are similar to everyone else in the world who has thought to themselves at one point, why is my wireless bill so high? Then Mint Mobile is for you. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 per month, and you don't have to sacrifice any coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network and keep costs low because they sell directly to you online, cutting out the retail stores and salespeople. Why should you pay more than you have to for access to the same network? You can go and use that money to treat yourself to a Sixers game or even buy a new jersey. All Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text plus lightning fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. They even offer super affordable family plans with as little as 2 lines. And switching to Mint is super easy thanks to their digital eSIM cards. You can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. And if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will actually ship you a new SIM card free of charge. The whole process will only take about 15 minutes. And if you get stuck, Mint has a great customer service team to help you through it. So if you are interested in reliable coverage and fast data for a fraction of the cost, go to mintmobile.com/PhillyTake. You can go right down to the description of this video and click the link, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. Phoenix Suns have notified star Chris Paul that he will be waived, making the future Hall of Famer one of the top free agents this offseason. League sources tell NBA on TNT and Bleacher Report. This coming from Chris Haynes on Twitter. He follows up by saying that CP3 still plans to play for several more years and is eager to help a team contend for a championship, sources say. And if you remember, a couple years ago, everybody thought it was the end of the line. They thought he was done. Phoenix went out and gave him a huge contract, and he helped them get to the NBA Finals. He had a great year that year, and he was in MVP contention. And he is still, played up to par. And again, future Hall of Famer, like Chris Haynes said, a 12-time All-Star, and really a guy that's helped change the game of basketball. One of the best point guards that you'll probably ever see in this game. Now, Shams follows up with this, and he says, per sources, the Suns and CP3 are exploring multiple options, including a trade, stretching his contract, or waiving and re-signing him in free agency. Phoenix expected to discuss trades ahead of Paul's June 28th contract date. So at this point, it almost feels like they are in progress of making a trade happen, right? I don't see a point where they're talking about all this exploration trade talk, and then they're like, all right, you come back to the team. We don't have a trade partner for you. All is good. On the other hand, I will say, though, I wouldn't be surprised if CP3 wanted to go back to Phoenix, because the rumors are already coming out that he wants to stay with his buddies, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. If you look at CP3's track history, he always usually wants to play with one of his boys, one of his buddies. I would not be surprised personally to see him either want to play with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, maybe LeBron James, somebody like that at this point in his career. The thing with it is that it's not James Harden, who's 33, 34. This is CP3, who's going on 39 years old. Would it be realistic to bring it back? I think the good about a Chris Paul move would be that, number one, you are getting, again, a 12-time All-Star, a future Hall of Famer, a guy who has, led the league in assists 5 times, a pure point guard, a pure facilitator. I think if James Harden was to leave, you absolutely need to bring facilitation into this squad, because let's be honest, what James Harden did as a playmaker this year, as the point guard of this team, was unmatched. I mean, the way he was able to really mesh this offense together, it was poetic at times, honestly. And if you lose that, obviously you want to hope and bank on Maxey stepping up as a playmaker and continuing to develop that, but he hasn't shown signs of being that guy yet. So you're going to need facilitation on this team. You're going to need a playmaker. And, Chris Paul is that. That's number one. Number two, great veteran leader, has been around, a lot of different situations, knows the game in and out. And, again, he has a lot of experience with this. He is that guy, and he would have a really good impact, not only on Joel Embiid, Tyrese, Maxey, some of these other guys as well. I think he'd be a great Nick Nurse type of player. And, his impact would be unmatched, right? It's hard to get that guy, with that level of IQ, attention to detail like a Chris Paul. And that kind of leads me to my last point, the most important, the impact on Tyrese Maxey, right? Chris Paul would teach Tyrese Maxey how to be a playmaker. For instance, when you look at a guy like James Harden, the reason he was so good this year in terms of being that primary playmaker is just because he is a baller, right? James Harden can adapt to any situation. He was known as being a star, an icon, as a scorer, as an ISO guy in Houston, but he's just such a good basketball player that he's able to adapt his role. He's able to do what's best for the team, and really fit in as a pick and roll player with Joel Embiid. But is that his natural state? Is that who James Harden is really deep down? I would say no. I think James Harden's a very good basketball player, so he's able to adapt that way. But when you look at a guy like CP3, that attention to detail, that focus, just that IQ level that he's had from just playing that type of ball for so many years, I think CP3 would be the perfect pure point type of person, to come in and really teach Tyrese Maxey. I think his impact would be great. I don't know how they'd fit next to each other, but that'd be a different story. On the other hand, though, the negatives of this, number one, CP3, not to take away what he has done, but he has not won a championship. The Suns did not win in the finals, and they, collapsed against the Mavs. And, this year CP was hurt. So, he hasn't won. He's started to get hurt a lot more here, as he gets older here, later in his career. And he just really hasn't stayed healthy that much. And, in the biggest moments of the season, he was not available during this postseason. And, his game's taken a little bit of a hit. Obviously, he's had to sacrifice with some of these other stars. But, Chris Paul, you cannot rely 100% for him to stay on the floor. And obviously, that's a huge thing when it comes to James Harden or, Joel Embiid as well. And, adding more age, adding, more injury-prone players is not really what the Sixers want to do. Now, I do think it would come at a much cheaper discount than you would have thought about a year or two ago, but is Chris Paul putting this team over the top? I do not believe so right now. I think, again, it would be a good impact type of player for this team as a whole, but the Sixers have tried to get those types of mentality players and, just has not worked to this point. Also, James Harden would have to leave because if you remember how it all went down in Houston, obviously I don't remember every detail off the top of my head, but at the end of the Harden CP3 days, let's just say the relationship was not the best. I feel like I remember CP3 kind of alluding to the fact that, Daryl Morey kind of sided with James Harden. So I don't know what their relationship is like, but could CP3 and James Harden really get along? Probably not. The rumors are that James Harden, would potentially have to be involved in a sign and trade to Phoenix because that's been the latest rumor. I still don't think that is the best avenue for Phoenix, right? They need to build their depth back after giving up some of their key pieces to get Kevin Durant. And they don't really have a lot of avenues to do that other than getting rid of CP3 and DeAndre Ayton. So at the end of the day, James Harden would probably have to go for CP to be here. And again, are you really getting better at that point? Honestly, I would take a younger James Harden over Chris Paul at this point. At the end of the day, again, it's just not a move that really moves the needle that puts the Sixers over the top. In this article from Woj earlier, he will only get 15.8 of his $30 million guarantee for this upcoming year, and the next year's salary will be non-guaranteed. So, if he's willing to take a minimum veteran contract at this point, sure, but I just don't see that being his mindset. Even though he's going on 39, he's still going to demand more money, and I think he's going to go with some of his buddies or to a place where he thinks is the best roster ready to win. Because again, he's done everything, right? He's a family man. He's done a lot for this game on the floor, off the floor, Players Association. He wants one last thing, kind of like James Harden, which is to win a ring. At this point, what is he going to give you? 15 and 10? Is that really going to move the needle? I don't think so. So I personally would stay away from Chris Paul if I am Daryl Morey. We will have to wait and see what the Sixers do. A lot of options, a lot of things to decide this offseason the main domino is James Harden. I would rather have James Harden back on this team than Chris Paul. But you give me your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think. Should the Sixers be interested in the services of a guy like Chris Paul? Give me your thoughts down below. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And with that being said, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.